It's October and it's the spooky season. Yay! Hi, I'm Holliday. This is Looking into Evil in a Drink, and we'll be talking about Halloween themed true crime. This will be my background for the month, and each Wednesday or Thursday I will be uploading a video based on Halloween true crime. I hope that you guys like my little decorations or my teacups and sets for this week. These are all from Killstar. Everything, even the glasses I had on are from Killstar. So if you want to buy it, I'll drop links in the description and we can go from there. So, who are we talking about this week? Huh? This week we'll be talking about Ronald DeFeo Jr. He is the original Amityville horror house. The DeFeos are the family that was in the house before the Lutzes and before it became a movie and everything. And it blew up in Hollywood, basically. But we're going to talk about what happened with Ronald DeFeo's family, and then we'll talk about the Lutz, and then we'll talk about what activity went on inside of the house. That's what we're going to talk about. Oh, look at my spoon. Oh, I'm sorry. My spoons are from Amazon. They're skulls. Where do I begin? So let's start with the DeFeo family. Ronald DeFeo Jr. He was born September 26, 1951 in Brooklyn, New York. He had a very comfortable childhood. His father was very successful as a car salesman for his mother's father. And his parents' names are I think is Ronald DeFeo Sr. and Louise DeFeo. He may have grown up in a comfortable household, but his father was very strict and very, I want to say, borderline abusive, because he really he used to lash out on the family and his wife at the same time. Also, the DeFeos also have 5 kids, and it's two girls, 3 boys, and Ronnie is one of the boys. Ronald didn't really have a really good childhood, and his parents just didn't know what to do, because as he got older and started to mature, he started to lash out in school, at home. At one point, I believe they took him out of school and decided that they were going to homeschool him, because he just wasn't doing that good in school. And to try to help him along, they tried to get him to go to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist didn't work out. So his mother and father thought that they should take it into their own hands. So basically, they spoiled him with gifts and everything. Like, they bought him, as he got older, they brought him I think a $10,000 boat, but nothing that they did for Ronald was honestly good enough. As time went on, it just got worse, and the father thought that he should probably, I guess, step in and try to help his son. So he tried to give his son a job, the car dealership that he works at, and to see and hope that he just gets better and he stopped lashing out at the family, and hopefully he changes, basically, because at this point he's very, I don't want to say unstable, but he's just very moody. So, his father gives him this job at the car dealership, and randomly one day the car dealership gives Ronald this responsibility of taking 20 grand to the bank and putting it in the bank. Now, if you're thinking like I'm thinking, Ronald ends up staging a robbery. He splits the money with his friends that help stage the robbery, but he goes back and tells his dad that, "Oh, Dad, I've been robbed. We need to call the police. I've been robbed." And the police, his father actually calls the police. This is 20 grand that's gone. 20 grand. Back then, 20 grand was obviously a lot. So he calls the police, and the police are just like, "All right, we're here. Ronald, give us some information of what's going on. Tell us what's going on. How were you robbed? How were you robbed on your way to the bank?" And Ronald just seems to get very, very, very upset with the police and their questions, where he doesn't even want to tell them the description of the robbers. And his father and the police start to look at each other like, what's going on here. They end up saying that, they take the police report down, but then they know it's an inside job, basically, because if you were really robbed, why wouldn't you be able to give a description of what happened? Like, why would you get so upset? Wouldn't you be more shaken up and wanting the robbers to be caught? Since, the cops and his father look at each other and they suspect that Ronald is the one that took this money, his father just asks him point blank, did you take it? And he gets so upset with his father that he threatens to kill his father in front of everybody. Like, not in front of the police, but just in front of everybody. So then they leave it alone. On November 13th, 1974, Ronald DeFeo Jr. actually commits to his word, and he actually does murder the whole family in the middle of the night with .35 Marlin rifle. He went to each individual room and shot each person. He started off with his parents and he shot his dad first and then his mother. And then he went to his brother's room, shot them in their beds each individually. And then he went to his sister's room where he shot them individually in their beds as well. Right after the murders, he goes and takes a shower, cleans himself up, and any bloody clothes or evidence he throws in a sewer drain the next morning on his way to work. The crazy part is that Ronald fakes that he's worried, worried about the family. He goes into work and says, I haven't talked to my family all night. I haven't been home. I haven't seen them. I haven't talked to them. Has anybody else talked to my family? He even fake calls the house saying, hey, where's everybody at? Knowing damn well he killed them. So later on that evening, honestly, he goes home and he finds his family in their beds dead, which he already knows that they are, and he fakes running to a bar and calling the police saying, hey, my whole family has been murdered and I don't know who has done it and what has happened, and I need the authorities to come by right now. And once the police get there, they look and they look around, they see that this is like, the doors are locked, nothing has been broken into, there's nothing damaged, no screens, no doors, no windows have been broken. And the police aren't dumb, so they start to think like, oh, this had to be like an inside job. So they end up looking at Ronald and ask him a few questions, and then he starts to get upset with them asking him questions, and he finally says, I did it, and he says it went so fast. Like, the murders, I guess, were running through his mind as he was doing it, and it went so fast. He was saying that once he started, he couldn't stop. After he confesses, he arrested him for 5 murders of his family, and he goes to trial, and his lawyer tries to petition for him to plead not guilty due to insanity. Due to insanity, because supposedly during this time of when Ronald killed the family, he heard demons talking to him. Demons talking to him saying that he needed to kill his family or else. And he wanted to get an insanity plea, and he even had a psychiatrist that came out saying that, oh, he has dissociative disorder. And like, and it comes out of nowhere, because like, honest to God, we know now why he killed his family. It was honestly over 20 grand, and he was mad that his dad caught him that he stole the money. But he gets this lawyer and this psychiatrist to say that he has dissociative disorder. But then the state and the prosecution basically, prosecution state people, the state comes back and says, no, he really has antisocial personality disorder, which means that he felt nothing when he killed his family, and he felt nothing after it as well. This is all an act. This has nothing to do with any voices or demons inside the house. He killed his family in cold blood, and that's that. Nothing more, nothing less. November 21st, 1975, Ronald is found guilty of killing all the family members in the Amityville house at Ocean Ave at 112. He is sentenced to 6 life sentences, and he is at this moment, I believe, at the Greenhaven Correctional Facility in Beckman, New York. So that's the end of the DeFeo family and what goes on, but there is like some things actually supposedly going on in the house, because the next family that moves in is the Lutz family. And if you don't know who the Lutz family are, they are the family that the Amityville Horror House movie was based off of. And their story is actually compelling and makes you wonder what really went on in the house, because they moved into the house, but they only stayed there for 28 days. 28 days. Right? So the Lutz family is a family of 5. It's George Lutz and Kathleen Lutz. They have 3 children, but George is their stepfather. She had these 3 children before meeting George. They brought the house at $80,000 only because it was on the market for 80 grand because of the murders that happened to the DeFeo family. But let's talk about the spooky things that happened, because this is Halloween and this is my Halloween special. I didn't want to only talk about murder. I wanted to talk about the spooky area as well. Let's talk about the spooky things that happened actually with the DeFeo family first, and then we'll go into the Lutz family. So I know we're talking about the Lutz, but let's go to the DeFeos. So the DeFeos, when the murders happened, nobody heard the 5 shots go off from the rifle. And I've heard what a rifle sound like. It's pretty loud. I believe the neighbors aren't that far from the house. So even if they were up or not, they would have heard them. I'm sure somebody was up and somebody heard them, but supposedly nobody heard these murders go down. Nobody. Like, the murders happened at 3:15 in the morning and nobody heard them. Nobody was woken up to a gunfire. Nothing. Also, what else is spooky or scary about the house is that each person was found shot in their beds. And that means that each shooting was isolated. The mother and father were shot in their beds. The kids did not hear the gunshots go off. The sons were shot in their beds. The daughters did not hear those gunshots go off. And the daughters were then shot in their beds. Now, when a gun is fired in an isolated room or just a single room, it's pretty loud. If anybody has gone to the gun range, you obviously have to wear the air muffs because it's a closed off space. Closed off space. So I'm pretty sure if the mother and father were murdered, there's no way the other 5 kids, the other 4 kids didn't hear it. You get what I'm saying? So that is scary and creepy in itself, because they literally found everybody in their beds as if they were sleeping. Like, nobody tried to hide or get away. Everybody was found in their beds. That's what the DeFeo family. So then the Lutz family, it started like from the jump. Supposedly George, the stepfather, was dabbling in the occult. So I'm guessing he was into witchcraft or whatnot. That's what they're saying. But there's no evidence or proof that he said he was. He said he wasn't doing it, but who knows? And George also woke up at 3:15 every night for the past 28 days. They stayed in there at 3:15, and that was when the murders were committed. And if you don't know, 3:14 is actually the witching hour of when the spiritual world is most powerful. And also around the house, the Lutz family would smell bad odors of like rotting meat or bodies. And if you don't know, I'll tell you now, I hope y'all don't, oh my God, y'all probably hear that dog barking. If y'all just hear this dog, I'm gonna just keep going. Unfortunate, I'm sorry. So they would smell bad odors around the house, which would indicate a demon. Yes, a demon indicates bad odors of a body being like the smell of a body or rotting meat. And it just lingers or goes everywhere around the house, okay? There's cold spots around the house. they would say green ooze was, I know this isn't funny, was leaking from the walls and the keyholes around the house. Crazy because this priest actually came to bless the house, and the priest actually said that he heard a disembodied voice yell at him to get out of the house, to run, get out, don't come back. And the priest advised the family to stay out of one room specifically in the house. But why not just tell them to move out? But they probably couldn't move out. They probably didn't have the money. That's usually what happens with people that have a haunted house. So they have to seek other help. Also, George would talk about that he saw his wife Kathleen levitating in their beds. Also, he would talk about seeing his sons levitate in their beds. And also he said that him and his son saw this pig-headed creature looking down on them from the windows when they would sometimes come home from being out with the family. They also experienced things being knocked over and knocked down around the house. But later on, there's people believe and don't believe what the Lutz are going through. Even though the DeFeo family were murdered in the house, but they don't believe what's going on or anything. Some believers, and there are some people that are just skeptics of what happened, because at one point the Lutz had a falling out with their lawyer, so the lawyer came out and made up basically a lie saying that the Lutz and him sat around the table and had a few drinks and they came up with the whole thing being haunted. But the Lutz actually, put themselves out there and they say, we'll take a lie detector test. They take a lie detector test and they pass with flying colors. I know people believe that you can fake a lie detector test, but I don't think these two individuals are trying to fake anything. Like fake anything with coming out saying that they would take a test. This whole case, after a while, because it does hit the media, it gets the attention of Ed and Lorraine Warren, who are famous demonologists and handle basically haunted houses. They handled Annabelle, the first Conjuring, the second Conjuring, the last one that they just came out with, I believe. Forgot the name. I don't know if it's the Conjuring 3. Maybe it's the Conjuring thing. I'm not sure. But they handled all three of those cases and many more. Lorraine is a sensitive or a medium. She can see and feel things that other people cannot, and she was like tested to see if her abilities are actually real, and they came back with flying colors saying they are real. So Ed and Lorraine Warren comes to the house after being notified about it, and they come and they actually do a seance to see what's going on inside of this place. And Lorraine tells everybody to hold hands, close your eyes, and picture yourself in a white light for protection. So Lorraine goes into this trance, and she ends up seeing the demon that is haunting the Amityville horror house. It looks as if it's a kid. And I'm not sure if you know, but they say demons can take shapes of anything innocent, such as children. And they try to basically trick you into thinking that they're this helpless kid, and they're not. Or this helpless kid spirit, and they're not. They're really something more dangerous. And as all this is going on, Ron DeFeo actually still to this day says that he heard voices tell him to kill his family. He still stands by that he didn't do it out of any malicious ways towards his father or anything. It was the voices in the house that told him to murder and kill his family. Today, the house actually still stands, and it was brought for $605,000, $200,000 less than what was offered. And 4 families after the Lutz family have lived in the house, and one family even changed the address from Ocean Ave 112 to Ocean Ave 108 to try to keep people from coming to see the house and take pictures of it. But I heard once you get there, it's the house, only because of the windows and everything. But the pictures that we see are actually like, I think the back of the house and not the front of the house. The front of the house looks huge, but the back, the side of the house is where you see the like scary windows and everything. So that is the story of Ronald DeFeo and the murder of his entire family that he committed. Also, that is the story of how the Amityville Horror House came about. So please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. This is our Halloween month, and I will be seeing you guys next week. Bye.